So students, tell me, have you ever seen an expression like this? What value does it have? Don't worry if you don't know now. You will. So this expression is called an exponent. An exponent refers to the number of times that a number is multiplied by itself. In other words, exponents are a shortcut for repeated multiplication. An exponent is made up of two different numbers, the base and the exponent. The base, or the bigger number, is the number that is being multiplied. This number is going to be written full size. The exponent, or the smaller number above the base, tells how many times that number is being multiplied by itself. It's written much smaller, and it's actually written above the base. So, before we move on, let's see if you can identify the base and exponent of the following expressions. Can you identify the base in these expressions? If you said 10, 4, and 1.2, you were correct. Remember that the base is always the larger number of the exponent. Can you identify the exponents in these expressions? If you said 2, 7, and 8, you are correct. Now that we can identify these, what are they used for? Exponents are used to make our math lives easier. Imagine working on a problem that included 4 times 4 times 4. That would get really old really fast, right? So, rewrite the expression in exponential form. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So if we look at our expression, we see that 3 is the number that's being multiplied. So 3 becomes our base. And if we look, we see it's being multiplied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. So we can rewrite the expression 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 as 3 raised to the 5th power. So we write a small 5 above the base, which is 3. So be careful when you're writing exponents. Please make sure that when you're writing exponents that you write the exponent smaller and above the base. Otherwise, your teacher might get confused about your answer. So you want to make sure that if you're using exponents, you're saying 3 to the 5th power and it doesn't look like 35. So try writing these numbers in exponential form. 18 times 18 times 18 times 18. That becomes 18 to the 4th. All right, what about 5 times 5 times 5? That becomes 5 to the 3rd power. What about 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? If you guessed that equals 2 to the 6th, you are correct. Now that we know how to write exponents, we have to evaluate them. Evaluate is just another word for solving or for figuring out the value of an expression. So remember that exponents represent repeated multiplication, so that's what we have to do to evaluate. Let's take a look at our original expression. We've got 4 to the 3rd power. If we write that in expanded form, that becomes 4 times 4 times 4. And if we remember our order of operations, we always go from left to right. And right here, this is just a multiplication problem, so we're going to go from left to right. 4 times 4 give me 16 times 4. 16 times 4 equals 64. So we can evaluate 4 to the 3rd power to equal 64. Let's try to evaluate another one. So in this problem, we have 2 to the 4th power plus 5. So that becomes 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 plus 5. So if we go back to our order of operations, we see addition in the problem, but we also have multiplication. And M comes before A, and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So we're going to multiply first. 2 times 2 gives me 4 times 2 times 2 plus 5. 4 times 2 gives me 8 times 2. And then I still have plus 5. 8 times 2 gives me 16. Now I add my 5. So 16 plus 5 equals 21. So I can evaluate 2 to the 4th power plus 5 equals 21.